Spirits, female spirits, not human beings. These are feminine spirits that God created before he even made this planet. You see, their job is to oversee the balance of the universe, right and wrong. They are the overseers and the protectors of black women, feminine energy. And for men who don't treat women well, they can destroy your life.
For years, Black women have been warning Black men that there would eventually be consequences for having treated the women and children in their lives. Now, one of the loudest voices in Black media is saying the same thing. Dr. Umar Johnson recently issued a warning to Black men, arguing that many of the legal, financial, professional, romantic, and personal setbacks they're experiencing are a form of karma, sort of a reckoning for the harm that they've caused Black women. And I think that would notice the irony. This is the same Dr. Umar Johnson who has recently faced intense public criticism over allegations surrounding his role as a father from his own daughter, ongoing financial controversies, and years of questions about the promised school that still is yet to materialize. And whether you agree with his messaging or not, it's striking to hear someone who has faced so much public scrutiny now cautioning other men about consequences that those who experience as well. And he ain't the only one. Because we're watching less powerful men who build reputations on exploiting, abusing, or mistreating women and children. Men like R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Sean Diddy Combs, and countless others experience very public falls from grace. Some are facing criminal convictions, others are watching their reputations, wealth, and influence collapse. Here's where I think Dr. Umar's analysis doesn't go far enough. The biggest consequence isn't just what has happened to a handful of famous men. The real reckoning is happening with Black women. For years, content creators like myself have been sounding the alarm, and many of y'all dismiss us as bitter, angry, or man-hating. Yet while the conversation centered on defending bad behavior, Black women have quietly started changing our lives and moving on. So we're earning degrees at historic rates, starting businesses in record numbers, building wealth, choosing peace. And increasingly, we're deciding that motherhood and marriage are optional, not mandatory, if they come at the expense of our well being. That's the consequence. Karma is happening as well, but two things can be true because practically every action has a reaction. And it sounds like you're experiencing the consequences of your own bad behavior. So whether you believe in karma or not, one thing is undeniable. We're watching the consequences of decades of choices, behaviors, and social change unfold in real time. So let's talk about it. Going crazy.
Hey YouTube. Lazy day for me. I'm testing out Streamyard. It's my first time using it. And I'm trying to build up my watch time hours. So welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Joffrey Your TV. I'm in the bed on this beautiful Tuesday, doing absolutely nothing, trying to stay cool. What else? Really want to build this channel on just talk about everything, just different topics, media events, testimonies, different stuff. But yeah, I got my bonnet on today. I got my bonnet on today. So definitely hit the like, subscribe, and become a part of the community. Yes.
Right, 100%. The mother's rule is here.
So let's take a deeper look at Umar Johnson's comment, because I don't think he made that statement in a vacuum. I think there may be a reason this message sounds so personal coming from him. In recent years, Umar has faced increasingly public criticism involving his relationships his children, and the long-delayed Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, that non-existent school that he's been collecting donations for over a decade that still doesn't exist. One of his daughters publicly accused him of being an absent father. Women have talked about how poorly he has treated them. The daughter drags him for how he's a womanizer and just never was a good partner or father. And Umar himself has publicly discussed serious financial complications involving the school project, including fraud allegations, frozen bank accounts, and the possibility of losing the school property. So I'm sure all of this combined with the public scrutiny and financial issues feels like a spiritual attack and karma for all the wrongdoing he's done to the Black woman in his life. Perhaps that is what Umar is recognizing. Perhaps he's not merely issuing a warning. It sounds like he's speaking from experience. And Umar is certainly not the only prominent Black man whose treatment of women eventually became inseparable from their public downfalls. Look at R. Kelly. For decades, Black women and girls made allegations about his conduct. His former wife, Andrea Kelly, publicly described abuse within their marriage. Women and children testified that he used his celebrity, money, and organization to control and actually exploit girls and young women. For years, warning signs accumulated while his career continued unscathed. Well, finally, after decades of wreaking havoc, R. Kelly is serving a total of 31 years in prison.
Hell no.
Major federal convictions for racketeering, trafficking, and CP. He has also terrorized women left and right for decades. It's even alleged that he unalived the Black mother of his children, Kim Porter, and now he's serving a Fed prison sentence as a result of his indiscretion with his partners. And I've watched several similar patterns unfold much closer to home. I've been open about surviving DV and mistreatment in previous relationships. I've watched men who also leave this and much closer to home and that they're able to eventually encounter treatment and housing problems, broken relationships, and legal consequences. One former partner who once harmed me recently asked me to help repair his credit because his finances were deteriorating. He is now in eviction court and also currently facing a felony strangulation charge involving another woman. So these men's lives suck. And it looks like karma. I'm a firm believer that women are the source. We have the ability to create life in our lives. What you give us, we multiply. Give us a house, we make a home. Give us food, we will make meals. Give us love, safety, and support, and we can multiply those things throughout a household. But energy can also move in the opposite direction. When someone repeatedly gives a woman grief, fear, betrayal, violence, and instability in that same breath, don't be surprised when you get that in return tenfold. So yeah, I don't doubt that there is a spiritual debt you accrue when you disrespect, mistreat, and harm or exploit the very source from which life comes, especially Black women. The mothers of segregation is carriers of that's what the very source from which I'll let the esoteric on that. But I want to unpack the practical component of this because even without a spiritual explanation, a more obvious explanation is sitting directly in front of us. So think about the way habits work. Jogging for 20 minutes a day may not appear to change your body. Replacing cheeseburger with a salad may not visibly transform your health overnight. And saving $20 once may not change your financial life. But repeat those decisions consistently for years, and the accumulated effects become undeniable. Positive actions compound, and so do destructive ones. One line may appear manageable. One reckless financial decision may seem survivable. One act of betrayal may be concealed. One incident of abuse may go unreported. His finances were but when someone repeats those years out and over and for months, facing at the years and generations, the risk not to woman. There are more women, more victims, more evidence, more damaged relationships, more financial losses, more opportunities destroyed, more people willing to speak up, more chances for the legal system to come involved. Eventually, the cumulative weight becomes too heavy to hide. People call that karma, but it's also probability. It's accumulation, it's exposure, it's the predictable result of repeating destructive decisions over and over again. You reap what you sow. What happens in the dark eventually comes to light. And what does not come out in the wash has a way of coming out in the rinse. So yeah, I do think these men are spiritually receiving what they put into the world. But also, they're experiencing natural consequences of their poor behavior. And one of the largest natural consequences is that Black women are changing our behavior as well. We're having fewer children for ninjas. Teen birth rates have fallen dramatically within the community. Women who choose motherhood are increasingly having kids later on in life. Black women are becoming more educated. We're building careers, starting businesses, buying homes, leaving destructive relationships. Some of us are dating out, remaining single rather than accepting exploitation, and becoming far more selective about who receives access to our bodies, labor.
I look a hot mess
And that shift did not happen
for my
for
first
reason. Black women study
live.
we watch
I don't care. It's a do nothing day, a lazy day. I'm chilling.
Only to be abandoned after the breakthrough. We watch women carry households financially while also performing the majority of the domestic and emotional labor. And collectively, more women begin making different choices and are totally revoking access.
Great day to be alive.
Love and labor from these movements. You reap what you sow. So now you're receiving what you put out there. And as a natural part of this terrible treatment, Black women collectively have moved on. We've become withdrawn. And once we withdraw, the men who depended on our support begin experiencing life without the cushion, without the second income, without the emotional labor, without the home she maintained, without the children she raised, without the woman who repeatedly softened the consequences of his behavior. I believe that absence is the curse. That's the karma, the spiritual justice. Call it sowing and reaping, call it cause and effect, call it the accumulated consequences of decades of terrible decisions. The label is almost besides the point because whether the debt is collected spiritually, socially, financially, or legally, the bill eventually becomes due. And Black women leaving these men behind may be the clearest consequence of all. Now they are discovering that the women they discarded were often the very people holding their lives together. That is the reckoning.
The name of all that is folding into look at Karen Smith's gym toys.
Of course, all the plastics rinsed in Jim's class. We're plastics.
They're team royalty. If North Shore was Us Weekly, they would always be on the go.
Hey, what's happening? That one right there is Ayana Van Zandt. She's one of the dumbest people you'll ever meet. I sat next to her in law school last year. She told me I should date our bus driver. And that funny looking one over there, that's Tyler Perry. She expects women a cape and college rope name because she was one and turned her into a woman. She also tells successful Black women to date who can pay the life bill because she secretly does the same. And evil takes the human form of Nicki Minaj.
Yo, have y'all been watching? Have y'all been watching? Let me turn this down. Man, I've been watching Blueface and the circus. Woo, woo. Low vibrational. Low vibrational. Oh my God. Have y'all been watching that? Let me know what y'all been watching on YouTube. Oh my God. Straight up crazy. Krishan Rock, Nevaeh, they need a show. They need to go ahead on and get a show. Them mugs off the chain. They off the chain. Woo.
So let's talk about how the reckoning is occurring and it's illustrated by the fact that Black women are having fewer children than ever before.
I'm up in the bed. Oh, shit. I don't want to be flashing, y'all. Oh, shit.
That's not just a number, it reflects a long-term trend. Black
What's been going on? What's been going on?
According to recent CDC data, have fallen enough that in some measures they have converged with or even dipped below the fertility rates of white women. And honestly, I've been telling Black women on this channel for years to guard their wounds with their lives. Why? Because pregnancy isn't a blessing all the time. Some people are not going to want to hear this, but you gotta keep it real. Pregnancy is often a curse in some situations, especially for Black women who frequently suffer the most physically, emotionally, mentally, and financially due to it. Childbirth is consistently one of the biggest risks a woman can take. It's a financial risk because pregnancy and motherhood interrupts your career and can reduce your earning potential. It's an emotional risk because Black women experience postpartum depression and often struggle to receive adequate mental health support. It's also a physical risk because Black women are still over 3 times more likely than white women to die from pregnancy related causes. And in 2024, the maternity mortality rate for Black women was more than 3 times that of white women. Then add another reality. Black women are significantly more likely to end up heading households alone. So let me ask y'all a genuine question. If having children places you at greater financial risk, physical risk, emotional risk, and statistically you're more likely to end up being single and raising a child without a committed partner, why would any rational woman voluntarily sign up for that? Especially after what most Black women have been subjected to culturally. For decades, we were called just and hoes by Black men in rap and hip hop music. We watch your urban television shows and movies like Martin, Big Mama's House, Norbit, and a slew of others that you created to normalize making jokes about Black women, turning us into caricatures and mocking us about our behavior and natural Afrocentric features. You spend decades on social media calling Black women loud, ghetto, roaches, and monkeys. Then came the Kevin Samuels era, where millions of Black people tuned in to watch Black women be told they were undesirable, masculine linebackers, and worthless baby mamas. So after hearing that for decades, why would anyone expect Black women to enthusiastically risk their lives and livelihood to continue your legacy? And what happened instead? Black women adopted. They started asking, is he emotionally safe? Is he financially responsible? Will he actually parent? Will marriage benefit me? Will motherhood with this man improve my life at all? And if the answer was no, they simply opted out. So when people ask why Black birth rates are falling, I don't see a mystery. I see women performing a risk benefit analysis. No wedding, no womb. No chivalry, no children. No commitment, no kids. That's risk management. And then young girls were watching as well. And I think that's what people underestimate. The Gen Z girls are witnessing all of it. Across the US, women are delaying motherhood more than at any point in history. The average age at first birth reached a record high of 27.6 years in 2024, and birth rates among Black teens and women in their early 20s continue to hit record lows. In fact, the teen birth rate dropped another 3% in 2024 to just 12.7 births per thousand girls aged 15 to 19, a new record low than ever before. Birth rates for women ages 20 to 24 also reached another record low, while births increasingly shifted into women's 30s and 40s. So think about the difference. I am a millennial girly, so I remember the 90s and how we were inundated with teen pregnancy shows. So we saw all these specials on Ricky Lake, Jerry Springer, and Maury. Childhood pregnancy dominated daytime television and people trying to scare kids straight. Then MTV built one of its biggest franchises around being 16 and pregnant. But that's not the cultural norm anymore. Every single week, I receive messages from young girls saying, I've watched you since middle school, I'm graduating college now, I'm focusing on my career, I'm not rushing into motherhood. I've been doing this for more than 5 years. Some of these girls literally grew up with my content and other women speaking the same truths. And they were listening. They watched their mothers struggle. They watched us be abandoned. They watched women online finally tell the truth about the single motherhood, abuse, financial instability, heartbreak, and headaches and mistreatment they were receiving, and they learned from it. That's the karma. Denying you access, cutting off your lineage, ending your legacy because y'all niggas don't deserve it. More women are prioritizing their education, careers, finances, fitness, and home ownership before having children. Black women in particular are increasingly deciding that if marriage, commitment, respect, and partnership aren't on the table, motherhood won't be either. So when Umar says Black men are experiencing karma, I agree. I do think there's a supernatural element here because you get what you put out. However, I also think y'all are naturally experiencing the consequences of your actions. And for decades, you tell the group of women who can either continue or cut short your lineage that they're undesirable, mock them, humiliate them, expect them to take the greatest risk while receiving the fewest protections. Eventually, they stop volunteering for it. Fuck them kids. They gonna bow the F out. And when millions of women quietly make the same decision, it doesn't just change individual families. It changes demographics. It changes birth rates. It changes marriage rates. And ultimately, it changes society. and that's your karma. Black women are also opting out of marriage as well. And Black men will weaponize stats about Black women being the least married. But let's discuss what happens when we do walk down the aisle with them. Because approximately 25% of Black women are divorced, separated, or widowed overall. Also, among those Black Americans who have ever been married, 41% of them have experienced divorce. That is the highest percentage among the racial and ethnic groups, according to Pew. Yeah, I find that particularly interesting because according to many of these men, we're the least desirable, right?
That's weird. I'm trying to figure this thing out. It's supposed to have went to all of them. At least I thought.
Devil's advocate. Okay, well, apparently those of us who are getting married are also choosing to get the hell up out of there shortly after. Because you can't simultaneously argue that Black women's problem is that nobody will choose us and then ignore what happens when we quote unquote are chosen. Many of us got the ring. I'm one of them. I married the man I lost my virginity to and had children. I did it the quote unquote right way. We had the wedding. I became a wife. However, a significant number of us, including me, said, fuck this, I'm out. Y'all love bringing up the fact that women initiate the majority of divorces. Okay, cool. For the sake of the argument, let's give you that one as well. Let's say the woman file. Again, we are voluntarily opting.
Yo, I'm back. So I'm gonna be going live. I like this StreamYard. Still working with it because I thought I hooked up all my platforms on here. So I don't know why. I got to figure out how to get them to all go live. I got a TikTok one. I'm on Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. So I would go Facebook, but that's more like my, personal, not personal, but I don't want everything on Facebook like that. Although I am monetized, I need to be on there, but to go live, nah. I might go live sometimes, so I might just set it up for that. Like if I'm doing red carpet events and stuff like that. If I'm going to different events, then I'll go live on Facebook as well because I'm monetized. I need the money. And I need to go viral. So I'm signing out, y'all. I just wanted to test this thing out so I can go ahead and get my watch hours because they done did some changes to the guidelines, the community guidelines or whatever. I don't know why I'm not focused on this camera. It's like I'm looking up. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that part out, y'all. All right. It's a lazy day. I'm just chilling, going nowhere. I already ate my lunch. I might work out later on and watch some more craziness on YouTube. That's all I be watching, y'all. Sometimes I watch TV, but it's really nothing on there. I get a lot of stuff from YouTube. So, yep. Like, share, and subscribe. Got more shorts coming, more lives coming. Yeah, this is going to be a new community over here. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about media. We're going to talk about the world current events. We're going to talk about the unfair treatment of people of color. We're going to talk about everything. I'm going to try to see if I can get my boy on here because he be dropping gems too. So stay tuned. And yeah, I'm out.